Hey guys, welcome to Slurpcana, and in today's video we have a little bit of sad news because the creator of Pixelborn has messaged everybody on the Discord server that unfortunately due to a message sent directly from Disney, Pixelborn will have to cancel its servers starting June 16th. So because of that, I don't want to risk wanting to post any YouTube videos regarding Pixelborn so they can get copyrighted. Unfortunately, I had already recorded some videos on Pixelborn. I will not be able to post those, and I just want to be safe for the channel. That being said though, let's go ahead and get lively because in today's video we're gonna go ahead and talk about one of the decks I've been theory crafting for a hot minute, and it's a deck that I kind of want to take into a tournament for shiggles. You know, it's not a competitive deck at all whatsoever. I just want to take it to catch people off guard, and that is brooms. Let's go ahead and talk about one of my favorite archetypes in this game. So what is the deck list for this deck? Let's go ahead and start with our one cost. We have a Magic Broom Illuminary Keeper at 4 copies of it. He is basically a Chernobog followers. Essentially, he does what they do, just way better on this deck because it's Magic Brooms, and we're going to be needing as many Magic Brooms as we can for a little combo that we've seen in a little video previously. So for our 2 costs, we're going to have another Magic Brooms. This one's are going to be the Bucket Brigades. When you play this character, you may shuffle a card from a discard into its player's deck. So you can choose anybody's, you can choose your own. If you want to put, I don't know, maybe another Magic Broom if you're running out of brooms. I don't know why you would be running out of brooms, but you never know. You can also put in a card from other people's discard in a Mufasa deck to annoy them if they really needed it to be in the discard pile. Another great broom is going to be Magic Broom Aerial Cleaner. During your turn, this character gains evasive, meaning we're going to be able to deal with threats like Pegasus or even Diablos here and there. Here's a card I'm going to catch a lot of people off guard with. We're going to have 2 copies of Mickey Mouse Standard Bearer. Now, hear me out. There's another Mickey in this deck that we're going to have to shift onto, and this is just going to be the Mickey Mouse that we're going to use as a base cheap Mickey Mouse to shift the other guy into, which is essentially going to serve us as an Along Came Sue's or just to deal some damage to annoying creatures that our opponents have. We're going to have 2 copies of Grab Your Swords. We always got to have Grab Your Swords just to deal with a lot of annoying stuff in the battlefield. It's a great card to just slot in any steel decks. Always good to have. We're going to have 4 copies of Yen Sid. What can I say about Yen Sid that hasn't been said? This card is basically one of the highlights of Ursula's Return. When you play this character, if you have a character named Magic Broom in play, you may draw a card, and we're gonna have lots of those. While you have 2 or more brooms and characters in play, this character gets +2 quests. That means that if our opponents are not keeping up with how many brooms we have, they're gonna let us quest for 3, and sometimes people tend to forget. We're also gonna have 4 copies of Sorcerer's Tower. This is gonna be the only location we're gonna be running. I've seen people run Queen's Castle, but I think this is just a better location since all our brooms get to move in for free and they're gonna be questing for an extra one. Another 4 copies of Magic Broom. This one's the industrial model. This one says that when you play this character, gain resist +1 until the start of your next turn, meaning we're going to be able to tank out some stuff. He's already a pretty beefy creature, and you can even use the effect on him, or you can use it on one of your other characters that's exerted. And a lot of our characters in this deck have resist +1. I'll show you guys here later in the video which one those are, but he's going to be very useful for scenarios where we need to tank out quite a little bit of damage. We're going to have 4 copies of Magic Broom Lively Sweeper. This is a great just broom to have. This is going to be essentially ink, but we're also, like I said, we need as many brooms as we can for just to have as many brooms as we can. Another 4 copies of a different Magic Broom this time. This one we have the Big Sweeper. This one's also going to be used as ink. A lot of the times he's really beefy. If we have a location out in the battlefield, of course we want to play him, and he's going to be tanking out a lot of stuff, especially if we give him resist. He's already at 5 defense, and if he's at a location, he swings for an extra 2 damage, which is a lot of damage. We're going to have 2 copies of Item Removal with I Find Them, I Flatten Them. It's a great card to slot in another steel deck just in case you're playing against blue steel or something that is running with a lot of items. And now here we come to one of the newest additions to this deck, Mr. Bruno Madrigal, which we're going to be using kind of the same combo we did with the last deck I showed you guys with the Encanto stuff, but on this one we're actually going to take a chance, and you know, most of this deck is brooms. I want to say there's only 24 cards in this deck that are not brooms, so your chances of pulling a non-broom card are very slim, but they're still existent. I have happened to not get a broom, but most of the time I get a broom, and you gain 3 lore, putting more pressure on your opponent. We're going to be running 4 copies of Mickey Mouse Wayward Sorcerer. He's also another great engine of this deck. He's going to allow us to be attacking with our brooms and having them bounce back to our hand and being able to play them for cheaper. He's just a great all-around card, but do expect to get him blasted as soon as he comes into the battlefield. So if you're gonna play him, make sure you have another one in hand because people don't like him in the battlefield at all whatsoever. We're gonna have another 4 copies of a different magic broom. This one's gonna be Swift Cleaner. This is a 5 cost non-inkable. Even though it's a non-inkable, we have 4 copies because this is one of our heavy hitter cards and it has rush, meaning it's gonna be able to swing really fast, and it's a 4/4 that quests for 2, and that says that when you play this character, you may shuffle all broom characters from your discard into your deck, having us regain some of the brooms we lost and making it easier on Bruno to guess brooms because we're gonna be constantly having brooms in the deck and running through cards that are not brooms. Now we're gonna add another 2 copies of a different Mickey. This one is the Playful Sorcerer. This one's the one that we're gonna shift onto our different other Mickey. This one has resist +1, meaning he's essentially 3/5, and when you play this character, deal damage to chosen character equal to the number of broom characters you have in play. He quests for 2, he's inkable, he's just a great card. I just say keep it limited to 2 or less because there's been many times where I've used him as ink just because he didn't come quite in handy. So I would say just 2 copies and the other Mickey should do just fine. Alright, next we have 3 copies of this magic broom. I didn't choose to put 4 of this one just because this one is a bad broom in my opinion. I don't see when you're gonna be playing this very often, but I put it in there just so that you have more stuff for Bruno. This one's Magic Broom Dancing Duster. When you play this character, if you have a sorcerer character in play, you may exert chosen opposing character they can't ready at the start of their next turn, meaning you're gonna be able to slow down your opponents, but spending 6 mana and not being inkable does hurt the card a little bit. Now we have Magic Broom Brigade Commander. This card came out in the newest set, and let me tell you guys, this card is great because in this deck there's gonna be a lot of times where you have like 3 or 4 brooms in play. You slam this bad boy and he's swinging for 10. This boy is crazy, and he quests for 2 and he has resist +1, being a 6 defense character. His ability is that he gets +2 attack for each other character named Magic Broom you have in play. Okay guys, and the final card that I think you guys should add to the deck is Sorcerer's Playbook, just because not a lot of people are running item removal these days, and even if they are, they're only really removing 1 item, so they'll be wasting their item removal on essentially not a great item, but it can be great if you're really clenching for those last lures and you're putting in the pressure by questing it for 1. So yeah, that completes the deck list. Alrighty guys, now that you guys have the deck list completed, let me go ahead and share how much this deck will run you if you wanted to purchase it. Essentially, if you had none of these cards already, but if you have some of them, then you can just adjust the price, but this is what the deck will run you if you don't have none of these cards. Alrighty, let's shift onto a different plane so that I can show you guys what are some strategies with this deck, what are some good opening hands, and what are some of the strategies that you can implement if you are playing this deck for the first time. But let me go ahead and show you guys what are some great cards you can use as ink first. Alrighty guys, these are some cards that you shouldn't feel terrible at all if you have to ink them. I would say that this is most likely most of the time what you're going to be using as your ink. I will also say that I would say 7 or 8 is your ideal ink to be playing a lot of stuff, assuming you have a Mickey in play, because he'll make basically your wins a lot more faster and a lot more easier if you have about 8 or 9 ink in your inkwell. You can always have more than that, but I would say that that is the minimum to really gain the upper hand against your opponent. Another thing I want to mention about this deck is that, like I said earlier in the video when we first started, this deck is not competitive. You can take it into a competitive scenario, but I don't expect it to be winning tournaments. Do expect to win maybe a couple matches just if you catch your opponent off guard, but I would say this is mostly a for fun deck. I'm gonna be doing also competitive decks in this channel, but I want to show you guys some of the for funsies decks first, just for the people who are newer to the game, and maybe if they don't really care for the competitive side and they want to build something a little more themed and around characters they like. Alrighty guys, this is what I would consider the perfect hand. If I were to draw these cards, I would honestly keep them, and I would aim to have at least a turn 1 and turn 2 play. But if you have this hand, this is basically your best hand that you will ever get in this deck. So we have 2 sources of ink, we have a turn 1 play, we have a turn 2 play, we have a turn 3, and then 2 turn 4 plays depending on how the board looks. I would say Bruno is more of a priority than Mickey, but yeah, this is what a great hand looks like. Let me go ahead and show you guys what a good 8 turns would look like, assuming your opponent does absolutely nothing. Okay guys, what did you think of the deck? Let me know down in the comment section below what are some decks you guys are theory crafting on your own or that you would be interested in me covering. If you guys enjoyed the content, like and comment. Subscribe if you want to join the Slurpcana community, and until next video guys, love and blessings. Stay questing, brothers.
Desires take flight.